Welcome to Boldly Watch, where everyone meditated today.
Ah,
Did
It's
any
a
of us?
lie.
I
I
feel like
It's a lie.
that's the voiceover, and there's some like B-roll of a cow in a field, and it's just
My
we're here
name
for
is
the
Andy
bake-off.
Puddicombe, and I am the creator of Headspace.
Wow.
That's a true fact. It wasn't a.
Is your peaceful visualization a cow in a field, Xander?
I grew up in Wisconsin,
Hmm.
so
So a
that's
singular
all we
cow is
had. Yeah,
got it.
just
Mhm.
one cow, very peaceful.
Oh,
That's fair.
Jake, what's your peaceful visualization?
It tends to be a mountain or mountainous region. Those are the
Was
Hmm.
geography I like to
there
see. I
was
grew
a
up in a valley,
movie?
so everywhere I looked was mountains.
I guess mine. It's either gonna be a tropical beach
Mm.
or it's going to be like in a rainforest where all sorts of things can come for you, maybe things embedded in vines,
Wow.
or it's going
Oh.
to
That
be
doesn't sound relaxing.
on a
No.
Klingon ship when
Uh-huh.
I'm the first officer and the second officer challenges my authority. That's where
Sure.
I feel peaceful and the most myself.
Got it.
You
Got it. It's
reach
just
enlightenment when you throw somebody into a bulkhead.
it's so
Yeah.
weird when you describe those. This instrument just read as horny the whole time. So I don't know what that says.
That's correct. Wow, I have so
Thank
much
God
in
the
common with Riker.
thank God the nerves in his body were dead when he was having all those very intense sexual memories because
With that, is it just me, or were there some shots where I was like, "This is a bold choice of just the silhouette of his like form"? I was like,
yeah.
"There's no, he's better be wearing a dance belt because
Yeah.
otherwise you'd be able to see his religion."
His
Well,
reaction, yeah.
I I think it kind of speaks, unfortunately, about what we're not seeing when he's having the most erotic of visualizations.
Uh-huh.
Well, you also notice how erotic they are when they're back to back like this.
Hmm.
Hey, what are we talking about?
Yeah, great point. We should talk about what we're talking about. It's episode 22, the final episode, if you can believe it, of season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's Shades
Amazing.
of Grey, the one and only clip show of this entire series. The synopsis is Commander Riker fights for his life in sickbay after he is infected by an alien parasite while on an away mission. Pulaski soon discovers that the only way to save Riker's life is to force his mind to relive painful memories.
Hmm.
Hey, I'm angry I watched this.
Well, okay. Let's say you are a lead producer at Star Trek, and someone was like, "Hey, we've got 2 seasons worth of clips that we need a clip show for the network. Here you go," and you have to do that. I'm like, this is a pretty
I quit.
believable way.
Oh,
I
you
see.
quit? Oh,
I
no.
quit. You
So
can't make
now,
me do this. It's a degradation to my profession, to my reputation,
hmm.
and I'm not going to embarrass myself for your ridiculous shenanigans.
It's
So
been your
Fuck your
dream to work on
network.
this show, Becca. Are you sure you really want to leave over the clip show?
You'll bring me back. You don't fire women here.
Oh
True. We'll
God,
bring it back for season 3 like we did with Gates.
yeah. So,
Spoilers!
We've never mentioned it.
Jake,
I
your
forgot.
boss, the producer, just quit, and now the clip show falls in your hands.
Oh,
What
boy.
is the scenario that you bring to fit clips of Star Trek together?
Well, I mean, definitely having like someone have a memory tunnel is a great idea. I didn't really expect it to be viral like this. I almost expected it to be a
Hmm.
temporal thing or very Q related. But I like what happened here. This was like you said, it was a good execution of it because I feel like most clip shows from what I remember of my childhood
Hmm.
what are very much people kind of standing around being like, "Remember Webb,"
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
they're all trapped in the same location for some reason because they can't afford to do multiple locations, so they're like, we all got locked in the basement, let's remember all the memories we've had of Christmas or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is
Or locked in
called
the
a
bank vault.
bottle episode, and the
Yeah.
best one of all time is The Fly, and I think season 4 or 5 of Breaking Bad, where Walter White just tries to catch a fly within his
I
lab
remember that
for the
one.
entire episode. Now, bottle episodes are sometimes referred to as filler, but sometimes they are really stellar. And I thought that the beginning of this episode had the potential. Why didn't they just make it a bottle episode? Why
Right.
why didn't they just do that? You know?
Well, so the reason they do a clip show is actually a budget thing.
Hmm.
So it turns out I think they spent a little too much money on, I think it was Q Who, the Borg introduction episode.
Oh, because they had so
And
many prosthetics and stuff.
I think I would bet it was probably also the visual effects for the ships and stuff like that. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So they still had to fulfill another episode for what the season 2 commitment was, I believe, and so that's when the clip show comes up. So they do like limited, like you're saying, a bottle episode, Becca, because it kind of happens in like one location, right? So like they largely only really had sickbay really be used. Was there like no shots on the bridge, were there?
Yeah,
there was a jungle.
There was a jungle with
You're
water
in it right now.
and
there was the jungle, yeah,
and like an animatronic feature. Like I feel like for a clip show, there was a lot of new footage that we got to see for this like adventure.
Yeah.
Normally they're like, oh, one set they could be locked in the turbo lift. Oh no, remember that time when? And then they just fade back and they don't have to shoot anything else.
That's a good point.
So
yeah.
There was a bit of a story here, and Pulaski got to shine, so that's great.
Can we talk about her doctor work? Did you not take a Hippocratic oath, lady? If there is a microorganism bonded to the nerve in Riker's calf, you cut him off at the knee and he goes home happy. You don't say, oh, wow, it's all or nothing. I'm going to maybe lose my patient, but like, I don't want to cut off a leg. That looks bad on me. What is her deal?
Yeah. She is this is a symptom of bad writing. And that's all that is.
I think it's a character choice from the actor who played Pulaski, and I am
wow.
I
think Diane Mulder made an insistence that like it's in his knee and it's spreading slowly. Like we're right. Like this, you're correct in that this is a kind of a sloppy version of this because it's so location specific, because you're right, you would chop off the limb, right? But it's entwined in his nervous system, and as soon as it hits the spine, he's in a whole lot of trouble. So let's actually talk a little bit about the plot here. So
wait, before we get to that, I just want to quickly say replicators and prosthetics have made huge advancements. Just pop out another Riker leg. It's fine.
You're not wrong.
Do they also regrow people's limbs?
I think in some instances
there's like organ growth. Yeah.
Well, there's dermal regenerators and things like that.
Stem cell research people.
Can a standard replicator like say, "Give me a kidney"?
I think that they can
if
the plot calls for it, and they cannot if the plot calls for it.
Yeah, you could eat a kidney, therefore you could replicate a kidney in order to eat it. Therefore, if you ask for a still pumping one,
this is the first law of replicator robotics. If it can be eaten, it can be replicated.
But the thing is, if you use that kidney for surgery, it just doesn't taste the same.
So, all right. So we begin on an away mission with Riker staring off into the swamp, and he's got a leg injury, and Geordi finds him and checks in on him and realizes that, hey, something biological may have infected you. We better get out of here first and take no precautions.
We see some skin. We see some Riker leg.
Some hairy Riker leg. It's interesting. We never really see the legs of the cast of Star Trek.
Sometimes ankles, though.
Sometimes ankles, but only in tights.
You don't really see the skin very often. Mm-hmm.
Unless, we do for women. I'm thinking specifically of the Irish episode, Up the Long Ladder, with a lot of crop tops.
Oh, sure. But I mean, like, of the core cast, like the uniform, we never have like the shorts version. I know we had the
Tasha Yar wore a belly shirt, but she was under the influence of sexy thoughts.
Didn't see those legs, though.
This is also a little bit different from original series, where one of the tropes was because Kirk had like a sexy body, every once in a while his shirt would magically get torn in just the right way that would reveal like a little bit of muscle. Yeah, a peck maybe, but not too much. But that was one of the tropes that they could have easily done with here, but they didn't. Just a little calf.
That's a good bod.
Yeah.
Did you just Google William Shatner?
Captain Kirk ripped shirt was my Google. And there's quite a few ripped shirts.
Yeah.
It was like a 1950s bod. There was a thickness to the workout regime.
The silhouette was you wanted a stock silhouette.
Yeah, it was like aimed to be a box.
Because the pants were high-waisted, so the actual true waist would bring the trousers up, and you would go for that shape. Sorry,
It's the high waist.
No, I'm
Yes.
just getting lost in these images. Wow, this is great.
Oh yeah. I'm
So-
familiar.
So we get Riker's body though for
Right.
today. And he doesn't look very good. His hair is all fucked up. He's like kind of hunched over as well.
It's great.
Kirk's ripped or removed shirts, and then there's a listing. Oh my god.
Don't worry about it. Go on. Oh, what's this one about? From nipple to nipple, one
Yeah.
cut.
I remember that.
Dripping
I
with
remember that.
blood.
Yeah, like
Oh
a
my
sword or
God.
something went there, or like
Yep,
a
for the
blade.
Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, the high waist
Yeah.
gives you a different waistline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy,
guess-
that episode with that kid. There's a great like close up of him just like doing this to the camera. It's amazing. Anyway,
Distractions for the
Distractions.
podcast. You're welcome.
But Riker's kind of a mess in this episode. His hair is all tousled. It feels like they just didn't do makeup or anything on him, and he's just like, oh, he's all
Budget
hunched
cuts.
over.
Or
Well-
the effects artist is finally like, oh, now I get to do something, and it's not just beauty makeup.
Yeah. Well, Geordi checks him out and discovers, okay, well, we've got to beam you out of here. And good old O'Brien says, we can't. There's a microbe detected.
Wait,
Yeah.
but get a really smart doctor that has a great plan about bringing an infectious microbe onto the ship.
Okay, well, she does say, I will go down there first to check it out and make an assessment, which is
Then
I
what
think,
does she do?
correct call. Well, then she just brings it back to her sickbay, and it's fine. You can assume that they take proper precautions just to move the non-plot forward.
They're
I
trying to
think
get
that-
Riker into safety, though, right?
More hazmat suits. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or a force field or something.
I wonder if
Yeah.
the way she had analyzed it, though, like had maybe determined that it wasn't infectious beyond like how he first got infected, which was the sting of this or whatever it
Right.
was.
It wasn't the way
It was
that it was
internal.
transferable.
Mm-hmm.
Was different.
Even though
I guess she examined the rest of the script and said, plot-wise, it's
Yeah.
not transferable.
Right.
So let's just bring him aboard.
Also, I'm
You
getting
know-
paid overtime for these hours, so if we could wrap this up.
Becca, someone whose behavior I thought you'd be upset with was O'Brien, because a transportophobe gets on
Oh,
the
right.
transporter pad and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, I hope these coordinates are right. And she like jerks up. He's like, oh, sorry, I forgot. You have a phobia of
Right? I
I
thought
thought
I'd
it was
make a
hilarious.
joke.
I thought it was great. And I thought that she really showed a lack of sense of humor when she said she doesn't like transporter chiefs
her
cracking
thing.
jokes.
That's
Yeah,
like what
she
he's
hates it.
afraid of. That's her shit.
Okay,
Yeah.
listen, when your job is to disassemble people's molecules all day long, you need to keep a certain levity about it. Poor
I-
O'Brien.
Sure, a gallows humor is fine with me, but you don't necessarily. This is the one person you don't do it to, right?
Right.
Don't you do it to anybody
Specifically-
else but the person who'd be triggered by it?
Yeah.
You know, maybe he didn't think she deserved special treatment, that was being
But this
rude
was
in its
special
own
treatment
way.
going out of his way to make a joke about it. I thought it was uncalled for and unprofessional, and I, for one, am appalled.
They'll bring it up
Yeah.
in court.
After
Lack of sense of humor.
after Pulaski like transports away, the transporter doors open and Ensign Becca walks in and high fives O'Brien.
Good one, my dude.
She
the
hates
worst.
this shit.
We're getting her kicked off tomorrow. So anyway, Pulaski goes down, determines it's fine, beams him back up. We pass the biofilter and we decide that we can inspect him in sickbay. And I don't know, like pretty much the plot fast forwards pretty quickly. I guess there's a couple things that happen, which is that Data and Geordi go back down while they're inspecting Riker and check out, I guess, in what is the only real action scene that's not from a clip.
Yeah.
And I was laughing so much because they're like, is this it? This must be this vine. Oh, this vine moves. And then Data just shakes.
Okay, but may I just say one more time? Hazmat suits.
Right.
Yeah.
Geordi goes back.
Geordi
Wear
goes
rubber
back.
pants. Like fishermen have come up with rubber pants that work very well for centuries.
Yeah.
That would be great, Becca, if Geordi went back down in his same uniform, but with rubber pants.
Yeah. It's safe. That's what safety is, you know? I don't snub my nose at safety. I wear masks and rubber pants every time I leave the house.
Right.
You
Oh,
never
boy.
know.
Yeah, again, just victims of bad writing.
Well, I guess it's an action
Pulaski
scene.
again.
Aw.
I guess it's an action scene because there's also like dramatic music that happens, and so they hold it long enough to phaser out a slice of it, and they find this little kind of grabby creature. I guess I don't even know how to describe it.
It's like
it's a crab
shark
pincher.
fin. Yeah.
A shark fin. That's cool. Yeah.
But they had like he has these like tweezers that he grasps it with.
No
and I was like,
gloves. No rubber
gloves.
gloves for Geordi.
right? And I was like, put it in something. And
He
then
also like holds it up to the
to
captain.
the captain, he like waves it around. It's like, this is the thing that's gonna kill our second in command.
Oh
Okay,
my
we'll put it in the petri dish and get it
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah, pretty
See
ridiculous. I mean, also Geordi lived on the edge. Man has death wish because he Data reaches for the vine first. It doesn't move. Geordi's like, oh yeah, maybe it likes human flesh, and he reaches. Data grabs it just in time, and Geordi's like, I knew your android reflexes would save me.
Right?
Give him a heads up,
Yeah.
dude.
I
Say,
literally
okay, I'm gonna count on you.
Yeah.
Don't let me die.
also just Geordi, stop grabbing things.
Right.
Like
Well,
not
an
the planet to
engineer,
grab things. You know what
can't-
happened.
You can't
Yeah.
help it. You gotta touch, you gotta disassemble, you gotta find out how things work.
I
It's
get
just
that
how
he's an
engineers-
empiricist and stuff, but touch is one of 5 options he's got. You know?
But also, I feel like there is a level of comfort that you get, and with this, having Data around and being like, nothing can touch me, nothing can hurt me. I've got Data here; he'll never let anything happen to me. And he's right to an extent, so it's not good.
I'd like to say you have 6 if you're Haley Joel Osment.
Oh right,
Osmond?
Osmond.
What about
What?
Haley Joel Osment?
You can see dead people.
Oh,
That was a dated reference.
No, what? You're old.
another thing about their away mission was that they noticed that the plant must be carnivorous, and they realized, oh no, it's something that's embedded in the plant. But don't they say something about how there aren't carnivorous plants or something like that? I can't remember how they phrased it.
I don't know, but there was a whole bunch of dead fossils in this swamp.
Oh yeah, that's
a
true.
good sign to run.
Well,
And-
that through a plant like methodology, it could be just enriching the soil.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because
Yeah.
I remember this. There was like this. I want to say he was like Australian or maybe he's an American farmer who was like, brambles are carnivorous, and people are like, what do you mean? And he shows this video of his sheep getting stuck in brambles, and he's like, if I don't cut the sheep out, it'll die here and give its nutrients to this plant. Will just grow and do more. And he shows like every week he has sheep that get stuck in brambles and would die without him saving.
I'm a really big Brambles fan, and I
Right.
didn't know.
Not only that, but
Way
the
to go,
sheep that
Brambles.
would get
Bramble
stuck
Lover
in the
69.
brambles
Gee.
would then attract other animals, like other predators or other things too, getting
Yeah,
more
yeah.
things caught in the brambles.
Oh, like a
Yeah.
spider bramble web.
Mhm. I guess that's technically what a Venus flytrap does too, because it just like captures it to hold it there. It doesn't eat it. Oh, I mean, I guess it does eventually digest the enzymes or whatever, but
Yeah. But little do they know, the sheep just has to think sad thoughts. Then the bramble will let go.
Mm.
so yeah, we
Really good
learned.
point.
So we figure out, okay, this virus, virus / bacteria, because that's what it's called, and it's wrapping onto his nervous system. It gets to his spine, and it's going to reach his brain within an hour, at which point he will probably die. So Pulaski does a whole lot of thinking. We see Picard coming up to her several times, and she's very intensely looking at her data pad and computer and back and forth, trying to figure out what to do. Great acting.
Yeah, it flatly
And-
says, like, get out of my hair. And I was
Yeah,
like, I
get
love you.
And she determines, okay, what we need to do is stick a bunch of needles in his brain and stimulate it so much that the microbes can't invade it because the molecules are moving too fast.
Which really seemed like this is a temporary to buy me time so I can research. And then she gets really distracted with the side project and doesn't even do any more research.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't
That
realize
is-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, this was supposed to be a temporary, like, stopgap while she figures out the solution and it becomes the solution.
Well, right before Riker gets knocked out for good, his Imzadi enters the scene and stays with us the rest of the episode.
Well, he's got like this jovial attitude that he's putting on for the crew, and there was a good quote about like, oh, you would think you would be resentful towards this plant or whatever, and he's like, well, you don't get mad at the hammer if you drop it, you know.
Yeah,
Blaming
it's
himself in saying that.
And
You know,
he's
if
not
you drop the
wrong.
hammer on your foot, you don't blame the hammer.
Right.
Oh,
And
cool.
and this is just like the price of exploration is like
Yeah.
we take these risks and this is what happens. I like that they included that in there because that
Right.
wasn't really needed in the episode, but it's like we should put some more principles of Star Trek in here, and I like that.
Mhm.
That's a really good point.
I mean, it's worth watching just for that line. Really, the rest of
Right,
it
that
throw
was-
away. But Riker showed boldness in the face of death.
Mm.
Well, what's nice about how they organized this clip show is that the organization of the clips still fed into the story. Like that's at least effort, you know, and especially at the end where it gets really montagey very quickly and kind of builds its own crescendo of emotion and repeats some of the stuff. It actually kind of worked to repeat things, which normally should never happen.
Right.
I wrote them all down if you need.
I started to. I was like, well, I don't need to do this, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I got all 16.
For all of you younger listeners, a clip show is just the Riker fan cam. I think now you understand.
Well put. Well put. Well,
yeah. What do we start with then, Becca?
speaking of fan cam, now I want to re-edit it and put
Like
Dr.
sparkly.
Fauci in the background.
And just Bernie.
So
Bernie
we,
was just-
we start with my most hated Riker scene, which is where he hates on Data. And the best green screen you've ever seen, babyface Riker has been well
This is
shaven.
the pilot, by the way, to
Mhm.
remember.
Well, you talk about the holodeck scene because there's one before it where he goes onto some weird stormy planet.
Oh, right.
But you're talking
that
about
was
the
the
holodeck
best screen you've
right?
ever seen. And then we go to Data's first makeup job.
Oh yeah, he looks
You
like a
really-
stage actor there,
Right?
doesn't he?
You see
And
the
Riker-
progress.
Yeah, Riker admits he's uncomfortable with a machine as a lieutenant. So,
Yeah. And he out whistles him too.
Right.
It's always hard. I am very sensitive about my lack of whistling skills, so I really get it.
You see the growth in Data in terms of like Brent Spiner having a completely different voice almost.
Yes.
He's very human in this clip, and we've gotten used to where he's at now, and I feel like he kind of stays where he's at now for the rest of the show pretty
Right.
consistently. That's such a different version of Data.
Yeah. Not that it was drastic, but all the tiny changes add up to be drastic because now he's so established in his character and his point of view as Data, as there's sort of like a confident bravado about his androidness, where here it was a little, I don't know, almost unsettling. Like
Mhm.
there was the uncanny valleyness about it.
Because they were still trying to figure out what does this mean to play an android, be an android, what does that look like, you know, because it was really trying to figure things out. The best thing I can compare this to would be like a long-running RPG show, because that's my experience, and going back and seeing how a character is played early on versus like really finding their voice and getting into the story, and you know, like you can see just the drastic transformation and how cool it would be to be a part of something like this and to get the freedom that Brent Spiner has to create this beloved character.
Yeah. And the finding the voice was same for the writers as well as
Yeah.
Brett
Yeah, that's very
Spiner.
true.
Brett.
Well, especially in a pilot, right? Because the actors had so little time to live in the character. They've mostly done it on their own. They haven't even really got to do scenes beyond a few rehearsals with their other actors. But now he's 2 seasons in. He's 44 or whatever episodes, maybe more, into this character, and he's definitely got his rhythm down.
And then we go from my least favorite scene of Riker to my favorite scene of Riker, which is Intin Forward with
Yes.
Guinan, the romantic banter
So
when
good.
teaching Wesley how to bag a babe.
Ooh, it works on me.
Yeah, every time. They just role play this romantic scenario of why they should and shouldn't be together.
It's so good.
And it's hot. It's good.
Yeah,
It's bantry. It's quick. It's Sorkin-esque.
The delivery is great, but don't you guys feel the lines are a little cheesy?
No.
Strongly disagree.
Okay,
No, you're
great,
wrong.
cool.
They're
Awesome,
perfect.
great.
Then Troy is going to get married to that guy who drew a stick figure of his long lost love, and then meets
That's
her
right.
later and
Of the
ditches
Aquanet
Troy. But like,
commercial.
this is when we really see that Imzadi life.
Wow, yeah.
Wait,
That's
what
true.
clip is that? Are you referring to the one where she's crying?
Oh no, that was the baby.
That's okay, wait a minute. Which clip are you
Troy
referring to?
is getting married,
Mhm.
and Riker and Troy have a scene where Riker's like, she's like, "What feelings do you feel?" And he's like,
Is that
what do you mean? Like, I thought you could read them. She was like, perhaps your feelings are getting in the way of you reading mine.
Yeah.
I sense sadness.
That's very good. You did the nostril work too. Is that the episode where isn't that the episode where he's gonna leave the Enterprise to go be on another ship and be a captain?
Could
Who
be,
knows?
but I
It's all
don't
the
think
same.
so. It could
also
be. There
doesn't
was a similar scene.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, because I think that the scene that I'm thinking of is when they're making googly eyes under the purple sky in the
Yeah, the
holodeck.
purple sky. I remember that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, which they didn't show anything from that, and that
No.
actually had some good Riker scenes in it.
Yeah, and Troy had a really great ponytail in that scene, so that's what I wanted to see. Then we get to the horny on main flashbacks, and it's like,
Woof.
ooh, Dr. Pulaski. Wait, hold on, I lost my Troy voice.
I mean, some of those meters behind her went
something-
way up real quickly.
Right.
Right?
The horny meter is just off
Erotic.
the charts.
The erotic feelings are strong.
She
Intense
said something else.
emotion.
And
Yeah.
then Pulaski was like, erotic?
And Pulaski was like, lifting the sheet?
Yeah.
No. Pulaski,
No.
no. This is weird. You are a doctor. We've got Eden, the all white people planet where no one
shape.
wears underwear.
Yeah.
The sexy French babe in the holodeck that he went very Spike.
Melody? Wasn't it? Or I don't remember what her name was.
The woman in the
Yeah.
lounge.
Yeah.
Miss Red Dress.
Right.
Yeah, red dress. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was created by the Bynards to get him distracted.
And as soon as he said the line again, like, thank you, gentlemen, I was like, they're not gentlemen.
That reminds me, like, did all the actors who get their clips featured, do they get residuals for being in the episode?
I wondered, because Gates
Right?
or with Tasha Yar stuff, like,
Yeah, that's true.
Totes.
Yeah, Crusher's shown a few times too.
Totes you
I
do.
bet they do. That's interesting. Well,
But you
I
don't
also
have to be paid for the set day. You're just paid your residual rate.
Well,
Right.
so I learned that this was apparently filmed over 3 days instead of the standard 7 for an episode. And also, you can tell they really cut corners. That poor technician who didn't get a line. There was a technician that was working on Riker, and Riker's telling him a joke early on, and he gives
The
there's like
nurse.
2 close-ups on that nurse, and
Yeah.
he gives reaction shots, but he doesn't get a line. And there's there's a different pay scale if you have a line versus if you are like just a smiling featured extra. And that's a real bummer.
Yeah.
It's total. Yeah, you go from being an extra to being under 5, which
Right.
will continue to pay. I know because David had one line in Blackish as a fast food person that's like, here you go. And we still get checks.
God,
Yeah.
when I did extra work, people would fight if there was like the potential of a line or something like that. They would be elbowing people to get up to the front, and it got.
It's a
vicious.
very it can be a vicious community. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Can be.
Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, I know there's a pretty good Ricky Gervais show called Extras that
Right.
actually
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And actually Patrick Stewart's in an episode of it.
Oh,
What's really
right.
great about that is how
Everything.
all the
Maybe the
celebrities
best episode of all time.
they play asshole versions of themselves.
Yeah.
It's so good. Highly recommend that show. But yeah, extras can be very intense, but this show doesn't have a lot of extras. It does have consistent extras who keep doing the same work, so you see a lot of the same crew members in the backgrounds of things.
Perhaps it's a new show idea. It's like I'm an X-Men, but when I walk down, I see women naked. When I walk down the street, it's just like bam, naked, and they cover up, but they're not fast enough. And I see it all.
This is a quote from Extras.
I'll put a link
You
to that
gotta watch.
in the description.
It's
for
so
you.
good. I mean, whatever you're doing, you're listening to this podcast, stop and go watch that episode of Extras.
Pretty much the opposite of Picard.
Very much. Oh, we also get that episode where
Exactly,
they're
Riker.
we also get that episode where they're on that planet with all of the people who wear like pretty much just underwear and are massaging each other.
Yeah.
I forgot
Eden,
about
yeah.
Eden. Thank you.
Yeah,
I forgot how like overtly sexual just that opening shot is.
Yeah.
It was very clear. I mean, I said this just a moment ago, but it was very clear that no one was able to wear any sort of underwear with their costumes. I mean, maybe some dance belts, but even the shorts had a slit all the way up to the waistband on either side.
Yeah.
Great look. They stopped doing episodes quite like that, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a real feel from a difference between season 1 and season 2. Like you definitely saw the difference between those clips.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then next is Sexy Man-Hater Lady Planet, where he sleeps with the leader of the planet that marginalizes men.
She's great. I love her.
I don't know.
Will you still respect me in the morning? Is that what he says to her? Something like that?
Yep.
I really wanted him to be the one who has always had the bed covers up to his nipples. like all women have to wear on TV shows.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I hate that episode so much.
Going back really quick to the Data thing in the holodeck, didn't he say something about? You said he was mean to Data. What did he say to Data that was mean? That he just doesn't.
You're not human.
Right, you're a machine.
No, sir, I'm not. Does that make you uncomfortable? I must say it does.
Well, that's honest.
Which is well, I love Data's response to that. Doesn't he say like prejudice is very human?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I think is why they showed that clip, because that's another good Star Trek principle. I guess unfortunately they had Riker be the bad version of it.
Well, you know, you can make a point without the counterpoint.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. I love that they showed that.
And finally, the Irish foot washing. And that's when we find out this microbe is really into the horny on main stuff. Loves where this is going. It speeds up, goes straight for the spinal cord.
It's like, give me more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had more micro babies, right? Because that's what Riker was intended to do.
Yep.
That was also, I think, the hottest of his clips. Like, that was the most well-delivered sexy line, I think.
With the
top
washing?
Down from the top, work your way down.
I think for her, maybe like she was the most like appealing. I think out of those scenes.
Agreed.
But his work with Guinan was unparalleled.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the best one.
True. Facts. Well, then Pulaski does a little fiddling with these needles and sends some different vibrations of brain stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get
what is the opposite?
Sad memories. Yeah. Well, after this section and we get some sad memories, that's when we get the classic line. Sadness, the opposite of before.
Right.
Yeah, everyone knows the opposite of horniness is sadness.
Right.
Or is it like grossed out? Like, does he relive every like alien vomit he saw or something?
Oh, right.
That's next.
Slimed.
If he's
we never have to go there.
Don't they say he like could be prone to seizures? Like, I feel like if his head is gonna seize, that's the worst instrument to have on him.
Well, presumably it's holding him steady.
Yeah.
Rattle his
needles
skull.
in the brain feel like a very non-Star Trek way to do stuff. I mean, everything else can be done
with a rotating boppet that you wave.
with a boppet, some sort of boppet or a plastic cell phone.
Right.
Anyway, the next memory is Lieutenant Yar dying from a puddle.
Tasha.
Yeah, the most unceremonious death of all time.
I know. I wrote. Do you guys remember how lame Yar's death was? Is the memory, and I think that's what's most painful.
I wondered if, because it seemed like they punched up the intensity of it a little bit for this. I was like, I remember it being really lame, like in the episode. But I wonder if they added some like a sound effect or something, or made it maybe the cuts made it seem a little more.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the instead of just
paced.
her being slammed against a rock and then continuing on with the scene.
Oh, she's down. Oh, well.
And then we have Captain Picard over the intercom. How is she? Dead. I did have a moment where I was like, maybe I don't mind Pulaski's acting.
Again, like, poor Gates had to like work through those season 1 like those hammy lines. They're like, that's right before the commercial break, right? So they're trying to do the slow zoom in of like dun dun dun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she looks again at the camera and is like, "Are you still not cut yet?" She's never gonna live that down for me.
Oh goodness.
Then Troy's baby boy dies when she gets pregnant. This was season
again.
201.
When I saw this, yeah,
I
was
forgot
good
about
acting.
So did Riker.
About this. I was like, I wrote, "Who's this boy?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, this one was kind of forgettable for me." But this scene was good.
The episode wasn't great. The writing wasn't great, but I think the reason it made it in the clip show is because Marina Sirtis is amazing at this whole acting thing, and when you let her do her thing, she will crush it.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah. So that happened. then we get the feeling of sadness. They figure it out. They're starting to move in the direction of survival instinct and fear-based stuff. And then it's like, oh, bad feelings seem to work better. Klingon fight.
Right.
And immediately I was like, hold on, this is his second favorite thing after being horny is getting to show his masculinity and hot, steamy adrenaline.
Yeah.
Fighting and boning the Riker way.
The Riker way.
That's just his two stats as a character.
We're reminded of how mediocre Star Trek combat scenes can be.
Yeah.
Xander and I were talking while you were getting ready, Becca, about the stunt doubles between the Admiral fight and Riker
between the fan kicks.
Oh my goodness.
But just how clear his face was shown, and like there were reactions from the stunt double, and I was like, that is a different man. I can see him.
It's pretty important when you do stunt double work that you have the camera behind the stunt double so you don't recognize the person's face, because usually they cast these people based on kind of their stature and definitely like the hair kind of look, although plenty of them use wigs. Sure. But like when it's in front like that, and that guy kind of looks like kind of looks like him, but not enough. Yeah. If you're watching on broadcast,
right?
Honestly, I didn't notice. I must have been, writing something down. But I know this is not a Buffy rewatch podcast, but I have to mention, because I'm rewatching Buffy, and at the end of season 3, they're stealing this book from the mayor, and there is a long fight scene in fully lit fluorescent, and again, stunt double for David Boreanaz facing camera, not even quick cuts, slow cuts. I watched it. I played it back and rewound it 3 different times just to be like, this is the dude. 3, 2, 1. Not David Boreanaz. Completely different body type. Different. They just have a black leather coat on. That's it.
But again, wild. This was before when you would have to wait for reruns to see anything. You couldn't pause it unless you were recording it on your own VHS tape or something like that. And even then, it was broadcast quality that would come through, and it wouldn't really make that much of a difference. Which is again a point for clip shows, because while we have the modern version of the internet where we can go and see what happened this season, this was really remember all this stuff that happened and all these characters, a refresher for the audience.
That's a really good point. It is a different time.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. If everybody wants the dopamine hits, they can't do a YouTube montage, so they have to get this. And so I understand why the networks kind of want to capitalize on the good stuff that they did. Although, as artists, I know we're snobs about that, because we're we need to make our own new work.
Right.
Yeah, as we make a derivative podcast rewatching other people's work.
Totally, exactly. I see we're on the same page.
And
you wrote that review on iTunes.
I've been a different person this whole time. It's been my stunt double, and you didn't even notice.
Oh my God! Wait, are you switched back to you now? How can we ever know?
Pulled up the wig and it's blue hair.
Yeah,
you never dyed it.
Hey,
what's next? Yeah.
Y'all remember that time when the Admiral, the white-haired dude, is like, have a look in my briefcase. I'm going to show the doctor too. You're gonna love it, right? Yeah. That scene really was scary for Riker, because there was a parasite that would take over everybody's brain and made them all want more parasites. That one.
Not only that, this seems to be one of the first times that he normally is unquestionably trusting the Admiralty, the higher ups, and this is the time when he's being betrayed by a Starfleet officer. So I could see how that could be really frightening, because it turns them into who do I trust? Who do I not trust? When it used to be this secure thing of I need to listen to my superior officers.
Also, how good am I at hand-to-hand combat if this feeble old man is wiping the floor with me?
Right. And
Oh,
also,
no.
we need to stop putting glass tables in guest quarters.
Absolutely true. Yeah,
I
that's
didn't.
unbreakable.
I also didn't remember that vitamins line. He's like, I take my vitamins. I'm like, what is this?
You're about to reveal the true reason. You don't have to make up a terrible lie.
I swear to God, if they cut to commercial and it's a vitamin
It
commercial,
would be product synergy.
we also
Oh.
see, when do we see Remick? We see his like neck bulge
Mm.
scene come up, right? Is that next?
We do?
Don't you
It's in,
remember? He's like,
it's in like the montage of bad things.
oh, it's the, at the
Yeah.
end.
No, next, this is when we cut back to Troy and Pulaski, and she's like, "I figured out what it is. That is extremely. The feelings are primal, and it's
Ah.
not so much horny as even more the opposite."
Yeah.
Pulaski's like, "Cool, bad stuff. Let me poke around in this brain some more."
There's got to be something here.
We
Well,
see
but only
the
within like the last
Felicium
year.
junkies.
Yeah.
Felicium junkies holding Riker hostage, and then Armis, which was the puddle that took Yar, dragged
Yeah.
Riker in, and
That
he
was
gets totally covered.
terrifying.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. Then setting the auto destruct sequence. Remember when that
Right.
giant baby came captured the Enterprise and was like,
Yeah.
"I want to experiment and destroy half your crew."
Yeah.
Picard's like,
Also-
no, we're destroying everybody instead.
It was a good moment. It was good. Good out thinking.
What were you gonna
he
say?
actually ended up on Teletubbies as the son.
Yeah, that's
After
true.
that
Yeah,
episode.
so it's nice to, like instead of just having that one thing you're known for, getting
Right.
a
To
follow-up
diversify
gig.
the portfolio.
Yeah. Talk about residuals. And then the Klingon survivors that they found on the ship, and the ship was exploding, and then the teleporter wasn't working, and they almost didn't make it off. Pretty
And
intense.
Tasha was the transporter chief for that one.
That
Right?
clip ended with like the ship exploding, and we don't see that they made it to safety.
No. So who knows what happened?
How did that
Right.
resolve in the episode? Did they just?
They transported in time. They
Oh,
just
so it
didn't
did
do
happen.
You're
before.
left
Mhm.
going into the ad break not knowing, though,
Yeah.
which is super scary.
But it's
Okay.
also classic Trek of like the beam out escape. But did it work? That cliffhanger.
And then they're like, "Oh, it's grown 0%, but we need more than 0%. More
Right.
explosions, all the explosions." And then it's just
Trauma.
Explosion City.
This is where I like sort of stepped back and I was like, if they really wanted to put in the effort, they would show some like traumatic memories of Riker like as a kid, like outside of seasons 1 and 2. I know that's outside of the scope of a clip show, but I'm like,
Yeah.
his
I
traumatic
feel like they
memories
could
have all
repurpose his
just been
dad
around.
yelling.
Right. Or
Mhm.
the omelet or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, his dad.
Yeah, none of it made it in.
Should have just been dad omelet, dad omelet. There you go. That's how you do it. We should
Well-
recut this.
Yeah.
And so we do it so intensely that we reduce it down to 0, and the microbe goes away.
Check the computer. Mr. Operation has no kidneys in the knee or whatever.
Water on the knee.
Kidneys.
Water on the knee.
That's the new disease.
Yeah,
And
that's,
they're replicated, so
that's
it's
some
fine.
high-tech readings.
And we're fine, and that's it. So, according to Memory Alpha,
Hold
this
on, hold
episode.
Are you just
yeah,
going to skip over the best scene?
I think so. It was, yeah.
When Jean-Luc Picard is confronted
Oh.
with another Jean-Luc Picard.
Dun dun dun. But which
Oh.
one's the real one?
He's all like, "Is he all right?" And then he goes, "Of course, I know." Riker on the bed. "I know who I am. I'm Captain Jean-Luc Picard."
And everyone's like, not the time, Riker.
Great. Admiral Data and I are super glad. And then Data just really brings it home with a joke by undercutting a joke. You know, when you just don't get it, that's when it lands the best. Because "I don't believe you have the authority to promote me to Admiral" is my favorite line.
Oh,
There you
so
go.
you think you're ready to be an admiral then? Is that what I'm hearing, Data? Oh, okay. I'll put that in your file.
He submits a psychiatric report to Pulaski and Troy. I think the captain's losing it.
Yeah. Also, the
fact.
first officer thinks that he's the captain. Are we not going to address this?
It turns out I do have the authority. I just changed my name in our video version.
Oh, nice. That's all it takes,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so now I'm an admiral. Thanks. I'm throwing a party in my quarters later.
Yeah.
There will not be cake, but I will replicate some kidneys.
And fan kicks.
I will replicate fan kicks.
I heard you have a pretty cool briefcase you wanted me to check out.
Don't. Dinner. No.
Oh.
Hey, what did Memory Alpha say?
So Memory Alpha says this episode was written to save time and money as a result of budget overruns earlier in the season. It was shot in only 3 days, while most take at least a week. Director Rob Bowman commented, quote, "It was Paramount saying we gave you more money for Elementary Dare Data and The Borg Show. Now do us a favor and give us a 3-day show." So that's what you do. It's an accepted part of the medium, end quote.
Wow. Can you imagine just rolling with that? Of the network coming to you and be like, hey, you only have 3 days to make another episode. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way like the networks could be at this time too, especially because I think Star Trek wasn't necessarily gonna keep. I don't know if they knew how explosive it was yet. The first, as we recall, like the first season got a good reception, better than they were expecting, but I don't think it was like guaranteed they were going to go forever. I think this season did lock it in, and they had
got Whoopi Goldberg money at least.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
It's funny to me that they say that they blew it on Elementary, My Dear Data, because I always thought that shows like that was repurposing costumes from something else.
But those, remember that big London set they had?
Yeah, well,
I think they built for that. Yeah, because they had multiple set pieces in there, and because it was outdoors, they had to do like some scale and stuff.
Sure, and and I think they had like animals and
lots of extras.
Lots of extras.
Yeah, lots of extras. Good point.
And extras don't just mean paying the extras, of course, but it takes longer to shoot with that many people.
Yeah.
A lot more choreography. There was a PA named Eric Stillwell who was in charge of searching through all of the tapes to come up with scenes representing Riker's memories.
I knew it was a PA.
He's quoted as saying, "I spent 80 hours that week scanning through the episodes, finding clips so the producers could pick which ones to plug in." End quote. As a joke, he wanted the installment to be called Riker's Brain. He almost persuaded the other production staffers to call it that prior to the episode being named Shades of Grey, which Stillwell also devised. He called it that because I decided it was a really bizarre episode that wasn't black or white. It was just shades of gray.
Okay.
The PA claims he named the episode.
Yeah.
For his efforts, he was credited as researcher for the episode. So I don't know if that comes with a pay upgrade or not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Probably not.
That sounds like a creative title.
Yeah. But as originally scripted, the entire forest was supposed to come to life and attack Geordi and Data and attempt to, when they extracted the thorn out of the vines. But it was cut up probably for budget, right?
Yeah.
Or instead, they're like, just take the vine.
Yeah.
That's 3 days right there.
But yeah, they only used 3 sets. There was the surface, the transporter room, and sickbay. That's the only sets they used.
Oh, they didn't do a bridge. Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They could only afford to like light and position those. So that's probably one of each day, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's cool. I bet that those producers had the same reaction you did, Becca, of like, this is beneath me. Pass it to my assistant. They'll figure it out.
And we all quit.
Yeah. I mean, any producer working for like a large company knows that limitation. Also, like how budgets change, or you don't see how much things are going to cost until suddenly you start going, and then you're like, well, we need $100,000 more to make this as our vision wanted, and they're like, okay, well, here's 20. And still make the vision we talked about, and you said at the pitch meeting. I was like, all right.
Speaking of vision, what can we look forward to in season 3?
Oh my goodness!
Hints and no spoilers. Hints and no spoilers.
Well, I'm gonna give, I guess, a slight spoiler because it's gonna be like the synopsis. Is that good enough? Is that cool?
I can give a hint that's not too much of a spoiler. We get new uniforms.
Yay, fashion!
I recall we also get kind of an upgrade in how this show is filmed a little bit too.
Yes.
I think it kind of departs a little bit from the TV look less and less as we go on.
Yeah.
But season 3 begins with episode 1 called Evolution, where Wesley Crusher's latest science project escapes his lab, threatening the Enterprise and an eminent scientist's lifelong project.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is it named D'Artagnan?
Is the project named D'Artagnan?
Yeah.
We'll have to find out.
Okay. Okay, see you there. Day. I'm going to go there in warp speed, though.
Oh, geez. Okay, hold on. I got to power up my engines.
Engage!
So yeah, awesome. And then for those of you that are on the video, we're going to include in the audio of this episode the trial of Catherine Pulaski, but we'll also put that up on Patreon in a separate video for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.